the CEO, I hope I'm right, for Sparc, but also the president of the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry. I hope I'm right. We often miss that one. We miss one C. So it's 3 C's, MCCCI. But also we have among us our guests. Informal, but yet deeply engaging conversations where students, innovators, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders will exchange ideas, lessons, and possibilities. Our theme will be for today is how they built it. But we'll continue to have more themes that will touch on girls in tech, but also themes that will touch on cultivating the entrepreneurial mindset, exploring technology for development, as well as policy dialogues on innovation and intellectual property. Each session, therefore, will be a step towards building not only individual capacity, but also a stronger innovation ecosystem for our nation. However, we could not do this alone, so we needed partners. And allow me at this point in time to thank UNDP for being the ever-present partner in as far as the UniPod and its programs are concerned. So thank you, UNDP. Thank you, MUBAS management, and to many other industry collaborators whose support ensures that these conversations are not only confined within the walls of this room, but also reach a wider audience through media and digital platforms. The expected outcomes are ambitious but achievable. We would want to stimulate discussions that connect innovation to economic development, networking opportunities that spark mentorship and partnerships, but above all, strengthened community spirit that unites students, entrepreneurs, industry players in pursuit of progress. To those of you present in here today and those that are watching us online, we are so thankful to our innovators, to our students, faculty, alumni, industry partners, we are indeed thankful for being part of this launch. You represent a very diverse and energy that makes the platform meaningful. Allow me also to thank the team that put this whole event together. Hope, can you all just stand up, colleagues, if you can? Yeah, the team that organized this event, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much for your time, for your energy, and we hope God is going to repay you handsomely. As we begin this journey, let us remember that innovation thrives in conversation. It grows when ideas are exchanged, when experiences are shared, and when knowledge is passed from one person to another. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, MUBAS, and the UniPod, let me warmly welcome you to this first innovation talk series. May today spark the beginning of many transformative dialogues, and may the ideas shared here inspire us all to imagine boldly, collaborate deeply, but most importantly, innovate purposefully. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tsakama, for the thoughtful welcoming remarks. So to set the stage for today's conversation, it is important that we all have a clear understanding of what the UniPod is all about. For people that are in this room, probably you know, but maybe for people that are watching us online, they might need to know what the UniPod is all about. So to give us this overview, please join me in welcoming Mr. Francis Masi, who has been a key force behind the UniPod's development and its mission to nurture innovation and entrepreneurship, but also collaboration in Malawi. Francis will walk us through the theory of the UniPod, its goals, and how it is creating a space for young innovators and industry leaders to come together. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mas.
Thank you, McDonald. I did not prepare to give a speech today, but I thought it wise that we give, I think, at least an overview of what UniPod is. There was a time last year, I had the opportunity to go to Malawi Engineers Institution event in Mangochi. So we set up a pavilion there just to sensitize about UniPod. And then there was a certain person that came on our desk, and the first question he asked was, what does this UniPod software do? So I was like, software. So from that moment, that's when I realized that I think we are not making a lot of noise. People maybe don't know much about what UniPod is all about. But there's a lot indeed that you can basically gain from here. So just to summarize it, the UniPod is basically a maker space. It's a place where it's open to all Malawians. You can look at it as a research center or a space where you could basically call a second home, where as an innovator, you can basically create things, okay? Your ideas can tend to become life. And how does this come to be? There are three aspects that we provide support in the UniPod. The first one is equipment. We should acknowledge that all of us, most of us in here, one or the other, we have maybe come up with one or two projects. But you see that most of those times, those projects, they'll just end in our books, they'll just end in our closet. We don't end up seeing them into the society. But you see, one of the challenges that maybe is there is to do with the equipment, lack of state-of-the-art equipment that you can use to basically materialize your idea or your prototype to become a tangible product. So in the UniPod, we have equipment, state-of-the-art equipment, and it's an invitation to everyone that is maybe probably listening to us today to basically come and visit to see what we have. And apart from that equipment, there's also that maybe that gap of skill set, all right? Because maybe you don't have the skill maybe for product development. We have people in the UniPod that are trained to basically support you, to basically mentor you throughout the process, from the idea stage to a point where you have produced a high-fidelity prototype, to even a point where you have produced a tangible, minimal viable product that you can actually easily take up to an investor, and an investor would be tempted to support you. All right? The other thing that we also support in here is tech transfer. All right? Protection of our ideas. All right? Most times we talk much about our ideas on the social medias, and people listen. All right? People will congratulate us, but other people have other ideas of stealing your ideas. So we help you, we facilitate you with the protection of those ideas so that they don't end up being in the society. Just to share a few projects that we have managed to support over the years. We have an innovator who is working on a helix wind turbine. It's basically an innovation that is to support generation of electricity, focusing much into the rural areas. And it's an innovation that has impact. And when he was coming here, he did not know how to use AutoCAD, for example, to design his product. But we managed to mentor him and support him in basically coming up with the final product that is actually functioning at the moment. We also supported the local revenue management information system. For those of you that know, it's launched in Mwanza. So basically it's a software that is to be used for management of revenue collection in the district. And that innovator was basically mentored and came through the UniPod. And it's the same spirit that we expect from each and every one of you to come to the UniPod to receive similar kind of support to basically move your projects into tangible products. But apart from that, we also have programs. Programs that basically you can apply for. The first one that we have launched last year is the faculty student program, where we are supporting the faculty members in the different universities, basically to transition their thinking, all right? So from the research that they have done, so that they try to see what can be changed from their research outputs to become tangible products. So that funding is basically providing the funding. It's also providing the support and access to the equipment we have in the UniPod, so that they can use to basically make those research outcomes that they have done to become actual products, so that the country can benefit from, all right? Another one that we have done also is the special mentorship program. We invite young ones, innovators that have talent, to the UniPod so that they can receive special mentorship to basically guide them and direct them to basically uplift their innovation that they're working on. The next one is the Designer Innovators Program, which is a new program now. It's a program that has actually been put out, I think it should be last week. And we have received a number of applications as well. It's going to be closing on September 12th. And in this program, we are targeting those innovators that have functioning and working prototypes. We are not funding ideas, but those that have tangible functioning prototypes, they apply for the TIP, and the call is already out. So we are going to provide funding to help you basically also to transition that prototype to become a minimum viable product. We will train you how to use the machines we have in the UniPod, and you will also be mentored in terms of how you can actually maybe start a business out of that given product that you are basically working on. And that also speaks with the theme that we have today, how they built it, so that we can also be inspired. As you apply for this program, you also need to start thinking of how can I change this product to start a business, as our guest today will be talking to us. So in a nutshell, that's basically what UniPod is all about. It's open for you. I always say that as UniPod, we have the machines, we have state-of-the-art machines, I could say, we have the skills, but it is up to you now to come and use the equipment. So the doors are open for each and every one of you, whether you're a student, a secondary student, a primary student, any Malawian, you're always welcome to come to the UniPod and enjoy this access to the equipment. I think in a nutshell, that's what I would share about UniPod. Thank you very much.
Our guest of honor, Dr. Wesley Phiri, Group Managing Director of Sparc Systems. Our featured speaker, Mr. Schizzo Thomson, founder of Sky Energy Africa. Mrs. Hazel Namadi Ngoshawa from UNDP, Dr. Sakama, MUBAS, and Francis leading this initiative. I wanted to remind you why this talk is a bit of an important activity. So the UniPod Innovation Talks is more than just a conversation. It is a platform that inspires and it will inspire us to connect and equip Malawi's next generation for innovators, but also entrepreneurs. I was being reminded that I hope you followed the rules when you're coming in, that you register, because there will be a raffle draw at the very end. So if you were coming in as the way you come in class without making sure that people know, it means you're missing out. So there'll be a raffle draw that will be done here on the screen, right? Yes. So if you haven't registered, it means make sure you go back, if it's not done already, that you can register. And then I hear 5 people will get some t-shirts, some will get some, I think, UniPod branded notepads. Now, moving on with the program, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest of honor today, Dr. Wesley Phiri. Dr. Phiri is the founder and group managing director of Sparc Systems, one of Malawi's leading ICT companies with a footprint across 10 countries. I hope Google told me the right things. Which includes Rwanda, Tanzania, Zambia, and I think I saw on your socials that you also doing something in Mozambique. So under his visionary leadership, Sparc Systems has become a trailblazer in technology and infrastructure, while championing education and empowerment initiatives, particularly for girls in STEM. Recognized as the most inspired male corporate leader at the 2024 Consumer Choice Award, Dr. Phiri exemplifies integrity, innovation, transformative leadership, and many more. So he also serves as the president of the Malawi Chambers of Commerce and the Industry. I will not attempt to do the MCCC acronym, and the MUBAS Alumni Association. So if you move out of this space, you'll find him, demonstrating his deep commitment to advancing Malawi's economic and academic landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Phiri.
Talking after the professors, you're the professor, right? Good morning. I wanted to see if you guys are awake. So I can see that you're awake. Yeah, so actually I was asking the team just a few minutes ago to say, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to speak about? And what our audience like? Is it only the students? Because I'd seen that there will be some people online. So if you're having people online, it means the conversation changes a bit. And then you guys, so apparently, you know, there was a footballer that used to put on a t-shirt that you say, why always me? So apparently I'm called again to come and give a talk here. And I decided to spare my time, took my flight the day before yesterday, because yesterday I was at National Agriculture Fair, to come and talk to you guys because of the importance that you guys bring to the economy, to Malawi, to Africa as a whole. And I understand you are innovators, right? So where do we start from? Do we start from innovating and we go out there and give this to our clients? Or do we define our problem statement to say what are we trying to solve by those innovations? So let's look at Malawi. I will try to put on a shade of the Chamber of Commerce, as well as someone that also recently have been put in the board of the School of Engineering here. So there are some of the innovations that we also look at and how they're supposed to be done. If you look at Malawi as a country, I'm saying this because now we're talking about anyone else that is out there trying to help this country. If you look at Malawi as a country, do you know how our GDP has been growing? 2010 to 2019, we're going around, we're targeting 7.2. Then as a country, we're pushing to maybe around 4%, 4.5. As of now, we're targeting 4, but we're at what? 1.8%? Are we growing? Moving backwards, right? Then again, if you look at the country, since 1980s, over 90% of the Malawians that are involved in what we call SMEs. Actually, it's MSMEs, micro and small enterprises, right? These are small businesses. So we've got actually over 90% of the people that are jumping into those. So you've got all these big number of the people that are trying to do these smaller businesses, but we're still moving backwards. Okay? We're trying to go into our problems as a country. The GDP is moving backwards. Even you come to MUBAS, actually I was looking at him when he said Pore you are, and you guys were responding. Are you Pore? Pore is us, the older generations. Even if you come to this school, you ask people that were here before, you understand that actually we've been given food here, three-course meal, and nowadays the things are not happening. We're still moving backwards. Why are we moving backwards? There are a number of issues. Some issues are to do with structural issues that we have as a country, and some issues you guys, you should be able to be at the forefront trying to solve them. I was here last year. I just sneaked in, so I knew him from there. And I've known him for some time. And I looked at some of the things that are being done here at the UniPod. Then today I was asking to say, are we really marketing this? But some of the things that we're buying from outside can literally be done from here. Now, as a country, we've got issues. Some of them, like I said, I think they go a bit beyond, but it requires us to collaborate and work together. Like the doc said before, when you talk about innovation, they don't happen when you're there sitting as an individual, but when you come together and share ideas. That's where innovations thrive. I created my company in 2013. So as of now, I can say how many years? 12, right? Within the 12 years, we've managed to operate, have operations in 10 countries in Africa. The company started here in Branda. From Branda, I went to Lilongwe. Lilongwe went to Kigali in Rwanda. And you guys, I think you've heard about Kigali in terms of the innovations, IT sector and all that. Sparc is actually competing and winning bigger deals in Kigali. Like I'm saying now, I've got 6 engineers that flew the day before yesterday to Kigali to do some projects. And those engineers are coming from Malawi. Again, when we talk about technology, some of the countries, we don't have the actual physical offices, but engineers going in, we collaborate with others in those countries to send our guys to go and do some of the implementation there. We're in Tanzania, we're in Zambia. Zambia, we've got 2 offices, Lusaka, Kitwe. We're in Mozambique. We're still moving around. But this is a company that started in Malawi, in Branda, started by me. And some of you, you know already the background, that my background actually, I came from the village, came here. My first time in Branda was Pore. So, some of you will be saying, first, it's background. In a background. But I've created that one for my kids. But then now we're looking at generation wealth. What do we do beyond me? And some of you have seen the office complex that we put up in Lilongwe. And we're putting up again what we call the Sparc village in a city here in Branta. We should be coming up and finishing within the next 5 years, but it will be in phases. So before that, people will be using it. Now, you've got someone that just come from there, he comes here, and already from day one, it means there was competition already, right? So you don't operate in a silo. And most of you guys, you think like, so mostly the environment in education sector gives you an environment where, how do I call this environment? It's a bit different from where you're out there. Because the things that you think you can stop them, they will not stop. You will not stop having funerals today just because you want to work on something. There are just so many things that happen. So when I created the company, already there were IT companies. Most of them, they were not from Malawi. Okay? Now you've got these other companies, they are already ahead, and you're coming to join them. And some of them, guys, this is what happens. They can bribe even better. They have got monies, you're just trying to join in. Okay? So you're competing for these guys. Now, the first thing you have to look at is your value proposition. Trust me, even if someone goes and says he's going to give this guy 1 billion, you don't have the 1 billion, but you have your knowledge, you can fix the things, people will still give you. Not the one of 1 billion. Just imagine a bank goes down in the middle of the night. Will they go to someone that can bribe or someone that can fix the stuff? Exactly. So they think that normally we say, okay, kumara in Kwansanje. Okay? Kumara unogo ena kupereka drama. I think those are, yes, they're happening, but those are just something that we're using to justify our failures. And that's where we are now, where even our GDP is going down. So we're having problems because we're not firstly defining properly our problem statement and producing our value proposition. So if you're coming to talk to me, actually I've had this a number of times where people come and they'll be saying, my kid went to school, but we are suffering. Can you employ my kid? Trust me, that discussion ends there, right there. But if someone comes and says, okay, my kid went, did IT, and they did this project, and they're working on this, but you just want to come somewhere and maybe get the experience, then I'll say, no, talk to HR. So you see, at that point, we're not discussing where we're coming from. We're looking at what value can you bring to us. That's why we're having a lot of these issues. I think in Malawi, we're perfecting the art of begging, if I can put it in that way, where every time we look at someone who's driving this car, okay, what can I beg from him? But the question should be, what value can I add? So when we sit here, that's what we should be looking at. What value can we add? I'll tell you, as Sparc, we're doing a number of projects. We've done a number of innovations where we've divided them. Some are in software, some are in infrastructure, some are in cybersecurity. Of course, we've gone even far because the other part of it, you look at the business side, you should also look at how do you get your word out there that people should remember you. So for example, we've got education services where people are writing exams in so many online exams. We've got people that are coming from Mozambique to write exams here. We've got some people that are coming into the exam center in Irongwe. Should be last month, someone sent me a message in my Facebook to say her exam was only being done in Ghana. So I had to make sure that we start offering those exams. But if you ask me, I'm not making money out of that. But I'm making a name. If you come, you get trained at Sparc, you write the exams there, definitely if you become an IT director, you will remember us in heaven when you're in that heaven. So you can see, you have to be strategic. Firstly, come in with your value proposition, then go beyond. And I can tell you, I will not go into some of the things that we do because some of them got NDAs. But for us to reach at the level where we've reached now, and we're able to go into these other countries, and I can tell you most of the times when we're coming out with your businesses, the stories will be the same. Actually, I can't wait to listen to procedure because the stories are always the same. And the comedian. And most of them, they are actually your friends, right? They're the one that will tell them, okay, stories are all the same. So I'll give you one example. There was some time, this was maybe a year or two after I started Sparc. I had some deal that all of a sudden I lost. But before losing, someone came and told me to say, they were in a board meeting and someone just raised his hands and said, some passage, Gigi, azingokura magari mutu. Okay? That was the problem I had. So I lost a deal then which was 64 million kwacha. This is about 2015 and this was a lot of money. I've lost 64 million kwacha. What did I do? I did two things. Number one, I went and bought the most expensive car and branded it Sparc One. Okay? I don't like someone just putting me down. So one, I'm challenging you that I'll still do this without you or not. Number two, I told my team, so this was an oracle deal, to say our level was on this. Can we go and reach the level which is called on-site advanced expertise? So even the guys at Oracle in the US, if there's a problem here, they should tell them that only Sparc engineers can fix this. So these guys, they went, gave the contract to the guys in the US, signed to say if the things get broken, you come in and fix within 1 day. Who can fly from the US to Malawi within 1 day? No one. A month later, it broke. They called those guys. Those guys, they called us. We changed our t-shirts from Sparc to Oracle and went and fixed. So imagine, let's say it's him. He knows already it's me, but I've just changed my t-shirt and I've fixed. And the guys from Oracle, they paid us in dollars. So we even made more. So sometimes guys don't just go out there and beg, bring your value on the table. There are so many issues that we normally have, so many people that will pull us back. But where we are now, we should be uncompromising. If you know you can fix things, fix your thing. Bring it to the market. Show people that you can do this. And where you badge and say, I'm Malawian. Well, that's again another problem. You go out there, you meet a Malawian. I was in Zambia the other time at a press with a t-shirt, Malawi. One guy came, hey, Ndinorimba Ntima, Mwavala Malawi. And I knew, the moment he said that, I knew he comes from home. Guys, we should be proud to be Malawians. We should also be bringing out positive stories. The problem is people positive stories, they're not talking. Tomorrow there's a bad story, everyone else jumps. The whole social media is that bad story. Sparc has won this big deal in Rwanda. Who writes? No one. So I would want us to start creating a positive narrative. So that if something else you guys do, we're trying to create this path for you guys, but you also join the bandwagon. Push yourself and also bring those positive stories. Let's share ideas. Let's work together. Let's collaborate. Like I said, in some of the countries for us, we've got people that do what we call first level support. If they fail, then they call us. We go and do the stuff. You cannot create all the things yourself. Look at it, for example, someone that is manufacturing a car. Most of you guys are just using a car. So assume someone is manufacturing a car. What happens? There'll be someone that is making a tire. There'll be someone else that is doing the electronics. So you should be able to join all these things together. Then you produce a car. Otherwise, the guy that manufactures the tire and says, okay, me, I'll stand on my own, we're going nowhere. And we cannot compete with the others. So let's sit down, collaborate, look at the stuff, and see how best we can push these countries forward. We cannot be moving backwards at this level. Thank you very much.
Somehow I feel like that was a panel beating. Thank you so much, Dr. Phiri, for that great presentation of your opening up and challenging the students that are here, innovators that are here, to move beyond one, begging, to offering value, which is something that is a bit difficult within the country, where we are used to running everything from grants and not thinking beyond the grants. So that is a good challenge, and you've also spoken about in Malawi, we have mastered that art of begging, and we need to transform our minds. The 2063 has this point around mindset change, but I wonder how we are actualizing that. But this was a reminder that we need to think about that. And something that is so powerful that you've also said is around, we need to be proud that we are Malawians. That is a thing. I remember going through this other airport and everyone was being searched heavily, but because I had to put on my, I am from Malawi, someone remembered, I think the one that was manning the gate had some parents who, his parents were in Malawi, soldiers, a while ago. And it was like, yes, we're in Malawi and the people are good. The people are friendly. So just pass. Sometimes the name Malawi can save you. Sometimes it can yeah, he can give you a few challenges. But it is us and it is this generation that will change the narrative. So thank you so much for that. I think let's put our hands together for Dr. Phiri. Now, we need to move to a fireside chat. I think the space here is meant for that. So we'll dive straight into this engaging fireside chat conversation with a true pioneer of Malawi's clean energy and electric mobility, Mr. Schizzo Thomson, founder of Sky Energy Africa. So in this conversation with him, he'll share his entrepreneurship journey, the lessons learned along the way, and his bold vision for Malawi's role in Africa's green energy future. So I'll be facilitating the session, and you need to be coming up with your questions, because after, and even in between, or while we're having this kind of conversation with him, I would want you, one, to be able to follow the story and ask your questions to learn. Because someone here, let me prophesy, someone here will be like them, right? So when you remember that this day, that there was an inaugural event that these two gentlemen inspired us, you should remember that you also contributed by us asking a question, right? So we make a deal, we'll ask questions, right? Serious, right? Yes. So at this point in time, let me invite Mr. Schizzo Thomson to come. You can choose it. I think any of them, but I think this one. Right. Mike, is anyone Mike? And yeah, if there's another mic, let's explore to also have a rotational mic that can be used for questions. So let me do an introduction for you. So, because I spent time preparing for this introduction. So let me do it. So our guest, Mr. Schizzo Thomson, is a visionary founder of Sky Energy Africa, a tech-driven clean energy company based right here in Blantyre. Mr. Thomson is credited with introducing Malawi's first electric vehicle, the Citroen EC3, something like that, making sustainable mobility a reality for Malawians. His focus has always been on accessibility, and this vehicle travels around 200 kilometers. I had to research. It's 200 kilometers on a single charge and costs just 5,000 for a full charge of up to 350 kilometers of travel. So he's deeply committed to local innovation with plans to establish local assembly EV batteries by 2030, which is a bold step towards strengthening Malawi's green industrial footprint. Welcome, Mr. Thomson.
Thank you so much.
Great. So let me get right into it. We're trying to make it as a bit friendly as much as possible for colleagues that are in the audience, but also those that are online. Using Dr. Phiri's company, what sparked the idea of getting into energy, specifically establishing Energy Africa, and what challenges or moments that has set you in this path into the clean energy business?
So you see, we live in an era that is more and more defined by technology and terminology, I should say, starting from AI, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. All these are causing a seismic shift to how the society operates. So I'll draw you a little bit back to give you a brief overview of how Sky Energy was born and why we chose to be in a space of energy and e-mobility. So Malawi has been thrown over issues to do with power cuts. And I remember by then, while I was working with Doji International, I saw something on BBC, power cuts going more than 12 hours in Malawi. And then I was thinking, like, I'm looking at companies, looking at homes, how are they managing those challenges? It means generators and
easily accessible solutions to address those problems. So that was a problem which I saw. And apart from that, I saw a responsibility. You know, you have to put your country first. So I was working on an organization which I was comfortable, but aside seeing the opportunity, I also saw a responsibility. So I left my job, quit, and returned back to Malawi in 2015. So a year later, I was a consultant for Blue Zone, designing systems for them, both solar-powered irrigation systems and the like. And that was all to prepare myself to settle again on ground. And after that, 2016, that's where Sky Energy was born. Primarily to address energy poverty and bring in some level of expertise in energy space. Because when we talk about solar as a service that we offer, most of people think solar is there to provide light. But our energy solutions is beyond just offering light. We sort of bring in economic sense in deploying solutions that PV economics to make sure that you can offset your utility bills. And that's what the world is doing. So in brief overview, that is how Sky Energy was born. But there was plan way back. And I think for those that are close with me will attest to say I've been talking about e-mobility. I have pictures of me in DR when I was working with LG, when we were assembling electric bikes. And we were the first company to bring 3,000 e-bikes in DRC. So I was like, one day I'll do something for me. But you know, there's no need to hurry over things. Everything needs to go with time. And 2023 was the right time. That is why, that is when we launched electric mobility. And when we talk about electric mobility, people think you're only talking about cars. But e-mobility starts from the two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, anything that can be driven with electric. That falls in the space of electric mobility. So what triggered now a decision to say this is the right time to implement is not because we had fuel crisis. Because most of people think the move for Sky Energy to bring in electric vehicles was basically to address the challenge for fuel, which somehow is part of the solution, but that was not the reason. When we were building our hub, it was the time even before the fuel crisis were happening. But we envisioned that we wanted to accommodate mobility in this facility. So I'll tell you what we were trying to solve. Looking at the energy sources that we rely on in the country, talking about fuel, electricity, right? I observed that it will take more than 50 years or so, because we have not yet so far identified fuel at any of our reserves. To say maybe Malawi has petroleum, I've not heard that yet. So it means we still have over 50 years of importing. And then I was like, since the time I got my own car, I've been spending on fuel. And it seems this will be the way for the next many years. But what can be the other source of energy that we can cut off the relationship that is bounding us to these fuel countries? I realized that we have the power of sun, which can give us electricity. I realized that we have hydropowers that can give us electricity. And then let's look into the context of the electric vehicle. What drives electric vehicle? It's energy storage. Where does it come from? How do we recharge it? Oh, so we will be recharging it with electricity. So automatically, this country spends $61 million every month for fuel. So it's like, that will be even more after 50 years. But what if we say We bring in these cars for a shorter term as we plan for a bigger future, and we use the electricity that is locally made. How much are we going to save? And again, let's bring an economic car that fits the Malawi economy. Let's look into this context. I charge my electric car not with 5,000, but 3,400. It gives me full charge, and I can drive it to Lilongwe. How much did I save? So I start looking at operations of organization. Say, this can solve a bigger problem in a long run. Shall we launch it? We do due diligence. We did a lot of assessment, and that was the birth of e-mobility. So I've told you about the solar part as well as the electric vehicle. So in brief overview, this is how these two technologies were introduced in this country.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. What a story. I think something that has gotten me thinking when you're explaining is the whole issue of how the training that you had in DRC, you say, also ignited the desire for you to do something similar. And I think that's the reason why this space, UniPod, is here, to also give people that kind of understanding, a place where they can test their ideas and see ideas in action. And that also creates their ambition, or it helps them to now realize that this can be done in my spaces where when I go back home, or I can start something.
Very true, very true. You see, technology is not technology enough if it does not have social impact to the society. We bring in solutions that should bring change. Look, I call him Wesley. If he was not able to solve bigger problems, we wouldn't be talking about him as a billionaire today, because he decides to solve bigger problem. And my question is, how big is the problem that you're solving? Right? We'll come to later. We'll come back to that later. So UniPod, for me, gives an opportunity to the youngsters to be close to the gadgets, equipments that can challenge them to think beyond what couldn't be afforded easily. So I remember in 2022, I was invited with Israel government. We visited their innovation facility, so we were about 14 Africans. What I saw there made me to believe that some of the things are possible because countries are willing to create conducive environment for their young generation to go and learn and put into practice the things that they have learned. So this facility, I believe we are going to see so many things in the near future. And it's a place that if you're in tech, these young guys should really utilize it.
I hope you're being inspired, right? Amazing. So let's move on. So unveiling Malawi's first EV was a historic milestone, honestly, because I think we were just thinking that maybe that is something that happens in the Western countries. Walk us through the technical and entrepreneurial hurdles that you face when you are setting up. And I think on this one, you can talk about the challenges that are technical, even regulatory, or even financial for you to set up a shop in Malawi.
So that process was hectic. We haven't reached the point where we'll take a breath out and say we are there yet. It's a journey, but a very interesting journey, because I believe one day we're going to tap our shoulders and say we have done it right. So look, we're bringing something new that was not there. And what it means is we had to start with all the processes that would make EVs accommodatable in Malawi. It was not possible to register. It was not possible to create. It was not possible to have the COFs and all that. All regulations surrounding e-mobility was not there. So we did the work. Our first letter to Ministry of Finance, MRA, was in 2019, to say, we're trying to bring in e-mobility into Malawi, and we want to see if your system can, if there was nothing. Same to do with Ministry of Energy, loaded traffic and all that. So we realized that this was a work to do. So we started writing letters and over time attending parliamentary budgetary reviews and make a recommendation to adopt e-mobility in Malawi. And only in 2023, that's when we had managed to have a structure that can accommodate e-mobility in Malawi. We are looking in the context of removing duty because globally you'd see there's a push towards sustainability, and amongst those is to have electric vehicles deployed to carbonate impact of climate change. And with that, the taxes were removed. So now you can own an electric vehicle that you don't need to pay duty. And apart from that, we've worked with flow traffic to make sure that the systems should accommodate e-mobility. Now you can register and have a number plate. So upon our announcement of the venture, we received a lot of inquiries from World Bank, KfW. So we hosted World Bank at the facility. And during the conversation, that was before we actually launched, but we had only make an announcement. And that was an affirmation that we made a good choice because you make an announcement today and next week you are receiving email from World Bank saying we want to come and hear your idea. We realize we're in the right direction. So hosting them and discuss way further down, they released money to Ministry of Energy to now come up with a policy and a framework for e-mobility because there should be standards and all that needs to be accommodated. So Ricardo from UK was assigned as a consultant for this whole project, Minister of Energy and other many stakeholders from transport. And we've been from the private sector side giving our ideas and our contribution to make sure this becomes a reality so that driving an electric vehicle in the near future should just be a normal, but it wasn't. So passing through that process right now, we are on the final stage where the policy and framework draft has been released. And now it means investors and all that can now step in because now you see there are so many issues that needs to be addressed into accommodating the, making e-mobility a true reality. But now the policy and framework will be a big enabler because investors would want to hear if whatever solution they are bringing will be accommodated in those areas. So yeah, but aside that, it was exciting knowing that we'll see silent vehicles running in the streets, and we have seen adoption. We have seen adoption, and it's not an easy product, you know, to market because Malawi is still not only Malawi, but you know, like people are skeptical to change. And when you take a bold step to bring something that wasn't there, and you're trying to sell a message of change, it's a challenge. But so far we're excited with the progress.
No, thank you so much. I think what you've mentioned there reminds me of your first response where you were saying people like Dr. Wesley went for a big problem, and a big problem gives you big results, right? And I think it's a challenge to people that are in the room. If you're building something, sometimes you may build something that doesn't have regulation yet, and you come in a space where there's nothing, but you have to advocate. It's going to be you who has to create that space. And if someone is to come and tell you about how to run EV in Malawi, you'll be like, okay, I was there. I built the guardrails of this. So that's amazing to know, but also an encouragement to the innovators in the room. You know, we're talking about affordability. What I found online was 5,000 for a full charge, but you're telling me it's 3,000, 3,400 for a full charge. That can take me from here to
Lilongwe.
Wow.
Yeah, so let me just escalate on that as a technology breakdown of the vehicle. So electric vehicle come in different spec, right? So the bigger the range, the distance you travel with the car, the more expensive it becomes. So for us, it was more of introducing city airlines vehicles that you should be able to do landing within the city. So if you look into the context of Citroen EC3, you'll see a vehicle that when you charge it once, you drive it within 1 week within Planter. So you are looking at 3,400 powering you within 1 week and recharge again. At the same time, if you want to make a loaded trip, it means you'll be able to charge and then you have immediately to charge again in Lilongwe. So that's the whole idea. But there are more vehicles that you can opt for. The range gives you up to 500, 600, and now we're talking about 1,000 on a single charge. But the more the range, the more expensive the vehicle becomes. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think talking about price, I think I found somewhere that you partnered with the bank, National Bank,
Yeah.
to
So
explore like financing of these things.
yes. So it's not only a national bank. We have partnered with Standard Bank. We have partnered with FDH Bank, and yeah, National Bank was the first one. But what are we trying to address? Because you see, the culture in Malawi, most of the people doesn't buy new cars on the counter. It's basically corporate, right? And we don't want the vehicles to be only used by the corporate. We want everyone to afford them, but in a structured way. So if you look at a car from Japan, used, and you compare the same size with the electric car or any other new car, you find that the new car pretty much looks expensive. So that's why there's this trying to make sure that we bring in affordability, as well as making sure that people also have a structured way of paying them, not at once. So we partnered with these banks under green financing. So it's different from the typical loan where people can get a loan and pay over 25% interest. It's pretty much nothing like that, because some of these banks are backed up with like green financing from maybe Extremism Bank and the like. So the interest is pretty much low. So
Like
that.
how much?
So it
Someone
depends.
interested here.
Yeah, I remember they were saying from the normal lending rate plus 1%.
This one.
Yeah, from the normal lending rate. I think that's what it is. Of
Okay.
which normal lending will be more than 10 plus 10. So the green finance one is not only for the electric vehicles, for all our green solutions. So it's plus 1, right?
And how much is this basic one? The Citron, you're calling it?
Sorry,
How much is this first?
the value for the car.
Yeah.
So tricky, but should be around 64 million
Yeah.
before VAT. Yeah.
64 million before heart. And I think 64 million has been mentioned
Yeah.
twice today. Dr.
He lost.
he, said 64 million then, which is not money now. Okay. Wow. We need to talk.
Yeah. So you can see that the cars are not pretty much expensive. They
Yeah.
are affordable if you look into that value context, that you having a car and then you want fuel it entire life of that vehicle. So maybe we should say initial investment is what is the problem, but after owning it, you feel different because there's no more these other challenges. Because again, apart from fuel, you don't have regular services like the IEC internal combustion engine vehicles, because there's no plugs in there, there's no filters in there, there's no oil in there. So what are you changing? So basically, you're just changing what do you call it, suspension, shocks, brakes, and that happens maybe after 15 to 20,000 of drives. Pretty much very less in terms of maintenance and the like. But something also to add, because this conversation is innovation. But these vehicles are coming in with other various technologies that will make even life better, because we have other features like V2V. So people tend to wonder to say, now, you know, those kind of questions. But V2V gives you an option that you can charge a vehicle to vehicle, transferring power from the other vehicle to the other vehicle. And then there's also what we call it V2H, which is vehicle to home. So imagine you have an electric vehicle and you went home and you find blackout. You know, that's when V2H comes in. You can actually tap power from the car to the house using bi-direction charging technology. So then, after that, when power is back, it will restore back power to the vehicle. Yeah, that's V2H. So electric vehicles have these features. And thirdly, there's also what we call it V2L, which is vehicle to load. Now, imagine you went for camping and like busy as we are, you want to attend to your email, but your laptop is off. So there's an outlet outside the vehicle, the same port that you charge, that can take power out, that you can use. So it's bringing in conveniences. So apart from all these other advantage that e-mobility comes with, but there's more to life that it offers, including what I've just said.
Innovators in the room, this is how you pitch. You don't explain about the technology, you explain about the benefits, right? And we can see how he's pitching to us to set aside our 64 million to do this initial investment and benefit in the long run. Okay, so looking ahead, you're an ambitious person. When I was talking to your colleague, as we were talking before this session, he shared of how inspiring you are and how visionary you are. So looking ahead, what does the 2030 vision for local EV battery assembly mean? Because that is found as something that you're betting on, as something that can be introduced to Malawi.
Very important. Before I tackle that, let me talk something about power of an idea. Everything that we see today that surrounds us was someone's idea. And we are living in an advantaged time because at that time, maybe this mic was not there. Maybe these clothes were not there. But someone saw it as an opportunity that if I create a mic, I will be able to expand the voice reach. If I create clothes, I'll make people wear. Whenever we think about solutions that we want to deploy, we are not thinking about today. We are thinking about the change the world is going through and how we find our space in that change. We can't talk about importing these vehicles forever. We can't be like Toyota, Sifao. They've been in Malawi for 100 years, but no one is doing assembly here. That's not the conversation we should be talking. It would be dumb of us to be in the space for years to come and end our story that we introduced EVs, and by the end of the day, we're just importing. It hurts me that we are importing, but because we have a capacity to build, and we know that we'll get there. So now, lithium battery assembly and e-vehicle assembly is one of our ideas that needs to be implemented. We will shortly start with the lithium battery assembly. It's already happening in Zimbabwe, so what are we looking at is bringing in SMT. SMT is what we call surface mounting technology. It's equally similar to those machines that you see there. I think we can start from the PCB where we can make a battery management system, BMS chips. We already start investing in that, and I believe 2030 will be too far to say that the machines are here. But now, after that, because we are still in a process of exporting these raw material from our mineral resources here, I do not say that there will be a quick fix to getting the lithium actually chemist guys to manufacture that here. But we have an advantage. We are sitting on a 261 million metric ton of rare earth at the Indiana resources. I should just signify to you what that means. The net worth of that resources, I was talking to the chairman because I was so impressed because they are sitting to what can make an electric vehicle being made locally. So the net worth of that facility alone is half the economy, I mean half the infrastructure of Johannesburg, half the city, over several billions of dollars, right? But we do not want to see those resources escaping Malawi like raw materials. It means we are not doing anything. So for all these innovators, for all the product that they will make from the PCB boards, electronics that we mount on those, is coming from the rare earth components. And that's our biggest bank there. We need to capitalize and we need to harvest and we need to be part of that growth. So we are saying we are going to start with assembly of lithium batteries, in a sense that we are going to still import the cells, right? And the whole management of the batteries from the BMS chips, the PCBs, that will be done locally because we will have the SMT assembly line very soon. So what it means, we'll get the cells, and now once we take control of the battery management system, it means it's very easy to transform any car. Even those that are the internal combustion engine, you can easily convert them because you took the control. Now, we have also a traction motor. Traction motor, we're talking about the windings and all that. Those are copper and the like, which again, the housing of itself are the stones that we pretty much have this side. So in a long run, the vehicles has to be made here. And if there's an easy car to make, it's an electric vehicle. Because you're talking about a battery bank, which has replaced fuel and the motor and the control system. Pretty much it. Motor, very easy. That's why you have places that wind motor because you can build it. So internal combustion engine is a bit complicated, right? The valves and the whole combustion process. That's why maybe we haven't seen a lot of those vehicles being made in Africa, right? But EVs are very easy, very easy. So soon we'll start with that assembly approach, and the dream is to make sure that at some point, before our eyes close, this vehicle shouldn't be made here.
Amazing. No, that's a big vision. That's a big vision. And I think it talks of how you have invested your time to think about these things, starting to understand even the whole supply chain from rare earth to what we can do to leverage that and build something locally and forget that we were importing cars at some point in life. That's a good one. So we need to go to the questions from innovators that are here. But I want you to provide like one principle or mindset that has empowered Sky Energy to build and growth despite the challenges. I want you to give people like one takeaway of what the power of an idea can do if you stick to it.
I've always said that success will never lower its standard to accommodate our laziness. We need to raise our standards to get the things we dream of. There's so much that an entrepreneur goes through to get or to be where they are. And oftentimes, people admire the outcomes. Oh, West Wamanga's building. I'm telling you, there was countless sleepless nights there. And I believe even tears. But when you have a core inside you, it's a fire. It's a fire that creates unstoppable men. Unstoppable men don't bow down to pressure. They lies behind. They get what they want no matter what. And it's not a lot that has been small. I'll tell you, even if I look into the context of my journey, sometimes I see God in the process of transformation. I lost my dad at the age of 7. I paid myself for college. I started staying alone at 18. Even when I was here doing sit and kills at some point, I was staying at a hostel and working for an Indian as a cleaner or something like that. So when you see progress of a man, do not think things are got through silver platter or spoon-fed. In Africa, our story is not unique. We come from terrible background. And these stories are only nice to share when you have made it. To say, look, here I am, once I was like this, you get it? So let's change the story. It's possible. You just have to dream big and chase your goal. That's how I can share my thoughts. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that inspiration? That's what we wanted. And I think for Dr. Sakama, UNDP, the excitement is, this is what we wanted. This is the kind of stories that we need to be promoting. So now I wanted to make sure that we have questions from you. You promised me, remember, that you will ask questions. So this is the time. As Dr. Wesley was saying, don't say, I come from a poor background. Everyone is coming from a poor background here. But we are changing our stories. So yes, by raise of hand, I'll recognize you. Yes, one, we have to be gender sensitive in this room. So all men, I don't see a female hand raised. Do it for the sake of the gender, represent the gender. All right, let's start with you. Well, we're getting excitement from the others. Is there another mic that can be passed along? There's another mic? Just two, okay, fine. Then I'll move around.
I'm Christopher Fellows, and I'm doing a Bachelor of Electronics and Computer Engineering in my third year, a student here. So mine is a question. When you're starting up, you said you studied, this was born 2016, around that year. So my question is, from that year to date, how did you solve the direct or indirect impact of political influences?
Very interesting. Not much, I should say. Practically, you feel the impact, especially when they are your client, like government, I should say. So over time, until now, we have our services have been always private sector, NGOs, and the like. So the influence or the pressure from the political atmosphere was only when we launched e-mobility, because we practically need the blessing in several dimensions in terms of making e-mobility materialize. But when you look into a business context, you only tend to face that when they directly dealing with you.
Thank you so much. I saw some hands here. Great.
My name is Mufat Banda, and I'm pursuing digital journalism year 2.
You're doing what?
I'm doing digital journalism year 2.
Okay.
As we know, Malawi is currently facing some of the economic challenges, for example, devaluation, shortage of fuel. So my question is, as your company, how are you able to survive in a country like Malawi, where it's facing so many economic challenges?
We have to navigate, but I'll tell you that we also generate Forex. So as we externalize funds to get our things, we also serve clients internationally. So we are able to generate Forex. So that is a challenge, but not to a point that it can stop the growth. And talking about economic landscape, yeah, we are dealing with a small economy, meaning to say the buying power is not as you can compare with other SADC countries. So this is why as we grow, you need to think about reaching other countries. Currently, we have established ourselves in Kenya. We started our operations in South Africa. So we are trying to dive into deeper economies that are also technologically advanced, so that we can leapfrog our future plans and get the right resources as we push for our agenda for Malawi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're also getting questions from Facebook. So if you are watching online, you can also ask a question by just typing in the chat of this live, and then we'll be able to recognize you. I want to get a female voice in the room, so at least one person to save the gender.
Women in tech, what's up?
Women in tech. Dr. Wesley has the program on STEM. And this is the time that you also have to shine. These are the future employers. So you have to, anyone who want to challenge? raising a hand and ask a question? Yes. Yes. Let's put our hands together for her, right?
My name is Cinderella Jira. I am studying telecommunications engineering year 5. From your presentation, I think you talked a lot about the vehicles, but you said there's a wider spectrum of the mobilities. So I wanted to hear more about the other side. Does this also go as far as farming? Do you have e-tractors, stuff like that?
All right, beautiful. So there's a lot e-mobility is offering. In the country at the moment, we do have forklifts. We used to rely on normally these IEC forklift. Tractors are already in Mozambique. They are already in Kigali being launched. So far, I am yet to hear if Malawi has one, but they are already there, being deployed and doing massive work, cutting these smart farming cost of operations if you are using in fuel. So tractors, yes. Two-wheelers, meaning the electric bikes. Those ones we actually have. For those of you that have visited Hub, you have seen that. Then there's three-wheelers. Three-wheelers are tricycle, so you can use to carry cargo moving around if you're taking your consignment from the farm or you are doing delivery within the cities. So that's also three-wheelers. And four-wheelers, I've only talked about Citron, but I believe there's another new company in Lilongwe that's offering now what we call it offload vehicles, like the way GT6 is, Hilux, something like that. And shortly will also bring BYD Shark for other market segment that we have received several requests. So it's actually covering the whole mobility sector. What you can find in IEC, internal combustion engine, you can as well find it in e-mobility. Even trucks, like cargo trucks, they are out there. But it's all about having very now power charging infrastructure that needs to quickly charge these vehicles to make sure that you don't wait long in the process of charge. Yeah.
You know, I was hoping I would get someone to ask you a question around financing and how do you move from the idea stage to move up the ladder. So maybe someone will ask. Anyone who had a question around financing? Because this is a question that usually comes with most of the innovators, right? That I have the idea, but I don't know how to finance it. And all these people that are here are innovators, building things.
It's a beautiful question. I will say where there's a will, there's a way. And patience is very important because I would not encourage an idea at embryo stage to start seeking loans from banking institutions and finance. You will be, you will face unimaginable trouble, and you might think those financial institutions are there to kill dreams because the interest rate we are talking about, sometimes they can be unbearable. So I'll just give you an example of what I believe, what I think has worked for me, because I believe in starting small and growing indigenously within your means, right? In a way that when you are building or when you are investing on a new technology, do it with your resources. Because for me, for example, for e-mobility was a very scary move for many. And I believe no bank could say, what are you talking about? You get it. But if you know you can do it, find a way to raise resources as little as you can and try to do it within your means. When you see results, when you now analyze what is happening, then you can create relationships. Creating relationship means cementing that you can't go alone. There are other structures out there. You have a brilliant idea and you want to sell it out. You're not going to look for money to say, I want the business. No, business, that whole idea that you have projected out should be able to attract resources. So when you have an idea that you think is going to change the world, what you think is unavoidable, start with the little that you can. Meet the right people. If you go with the right idea somewhere and people see the value in that idea, it's a game of an idea. They will buy that idea with no hesitation. I don't see if you come to me with an idea that I think is it's a game-changing idea, in line with what I do. It's the same thing, what we're so saying, to say, if you don't go there and say, I need a job, you are looking for help. But if he sees an idea, or if someone sees an idea and value in what you are saying, no one will ignore you, because an idea is what attracts value.
Right. I'll take 2 more questions, then we'll do an extension because we need to have Dr. Wesley on that podium as well for a few more questions, 2 questions. Then you can also fire him with more questions. Right? So 2 more questions, then we do an extension of the fireside chat. So you and you.
I'm Hawkins Manizashimkinitsa. I'm doing management information systems in 2nd year. My question is, how do you plan to implement your technologies into society and general public and encourage the transition from the current technologies to yours?
Come again?
Okay, how do you plan to implement your technologies into society or general public and encourage the transition from the current technologies that we're using to yours?
Okay, so you see, we already in that process where we've involved the society in a very large scale. Now, in a diverse of what we have offered as solutions from the solar, we are empowering communities, healthy facilities, schools, so many. From the e-mobility, we have adoptions in the banks, individuals and corporate. But what are we trying to bridge at some point is to make sure that we interlink this solution whereby infrastructures are not an issue, whereby people can easily find their way to charge if that's a vehicle, and also come up with innovative hubs for our charging points for solar as well in the rural communities. We are already doing something like that with UNDP. So in the context of how we intended to reach community, we have already demonstrated our ability by doing that. There's more that has been done. I didn't want to go into context, but yeah, I think that's how briefly I can put it.
My name is William Wesley Makanga, a student in pursuit of digital journalism. On the earlier stages of your speech, you talked about the struggles that you made on setting up your company. So we know the struggles was roams around what we are doing, and I just want to understand at this point of time, what challenges are you also meeting? And the other question roams around on when you were setting your company, was there any at a point of time where you thought maybe I should just maybe stop what I'm in pursuit of because of challenges? And what motivated you to carry on to continue with the project that you are doing now? And the other question is, how best have you make sure that your company is sustainable for maybe to stay for a longer period of time? Because there are a lot of companies that have an idea, they start the idea, but because of inability to set up a well-functioning body that can perform for longevity, they start to go back and avoid setting up the.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for beautiful collective questions. I'll start with the hurdles that we face during the start stage. You see, when I returned here, I had no job, I had no client, I had to survive. And by the way, when I was quitting, my mom told me that you are comfortable, you have a good work, you are being paid, and you say you want to quit and come and start whatever you are talking about here. What's it? So you can imagine my mom was feeling too comfortable of the status that I was at that particular time. So getting back here, I started seeing the reality. I really had no job, I had no client, and it took me a year to secure one. So that process was tempting to say, did I make the good choice to come back here or not? But overall, there was a believer in me that pushed me. And that's the idea of getting where I want to get, which I believe over time of years, you see steps getting you close to your destination. To say, I would want to see Malawi looking like this. I would want to see a country moving in this direction. I would want to see to bring in solutions that will revolutionize how things are done. So when you start seeing the things take shape, you get encouraged. And over time also, when you start putting up your solutions and they're being recognized out there. For instance, in 2019, when I was recognized by Forbes Africa 30 under 30 on technology category, that was a push towards my mindset. And that recognition was give me affirmation that we're in the right track. So there's always inner voice that will tell you to keep going. So despite the challenges that we face, we all have challenges, but believe in that inner voice to say, I will get it done. But not just listening to it, but act on that voice. Be on the ground, get the things done. So now when you talk about sustainability, we've been operating for 9 years now. So next year we'll be turning 10. We have appreciated growth from the day we started, and we are investing in the future-proof technologies and solutions that will always be required in the industry. I've talked about our PV economic solutions. It's a demand for the industry to adopt, right? They will always be there. There will always be a need for energy solutions. So our investments, our approach towards sustainability is to curate our solutions future-proof enough that they are always going to be needed. Because you see also with this coming up with big data, AI and all that, they consume a lot of power. I was actually checking shortly that shortly we might have a first power crisis in the US because of the demand of the processing of equipment for AI. So there's always going to be energy opportunity. So our sustainability is revolving on being on top of deploying those ESS to meet the demand of the future.
Right, thank you so much. Sure. I'm yet to find the question. I think the tech team was advising me that there might be some questions online. Maybe if you can text them to me, I'll be able to push them through to you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do this extension. I think we have 2 chairs here, so you just take this one and then I'll find myself somewhere. So put our hands together for Dr. Wesley. All right, so these are the great men that are contributing into the development of Malawi. So this section will be a bit of that strategic setup of, yeah. Yes, so it will be more about how we can build the sector as a whole. So let me start with you, Dr. Wesley Phiri. Speaking of economic growth, I think some of the things that he has shared touches into issues of development. And I think some of the questions around how do you deal with issues to do with Forex and all that touches into development. And in your presentation, you also passed through the issue of GDP and why it is still going down despite all the efforts. So as entrepreneur leaders of homegrown firms in Malawi, how do you see entrepreneurship and innovation driving Malawi's broader economic development today?
Okay, maybe before I answer your question, I really connected a lot with what he's been talking about. And now I'm agreeing that behind every success, there are just so many issues. Okay, you guys, if you've got someone that goes out there and says, okay, I will stand on my own. Okay, I will do school. I can go and work somewhere and be mopping then, but still more, I will do this. I don't think you guys will be passing through equally as chaotic life as how he's presenting. I'll pass through similar things, so I can relate with what he's talking about. But let's also look at that in terms of our country. Our country is one of the poorest countries in the world. That's why maybe some of you, once we meet outside the country, you don't want people to know that you're Malawians. But this is our country. We will die here. If we don't die here, our kids will want to come back here. Okay? So you look at it in this way. You've got these examples of people that are coming from poor backgrounds and are able to progress. Because problems, they inspire innovations. So we're in a country that is one of the poorest. It means we've got a multitude of problems. And having a multitude of problems creates so many opportunities for us to innovate. Now, again, if you look at the country, there is something that we might be wanting to look at. When you talk about innovation, you'll be looking firstly into the R&D, research and development. And there you should be looking at the education side of the population. I think as a country, we are a bit suffering in terms of those. If you look at people that are moving from primary school to secondary school in terms of percentages, then secondary school to the public universities at the start, I think secondary to public universities should be maybe less than 5%. So we're leaving all these people aside. Now, the people that you've left aside, definitely will be almost impossible for them to be employed. And that's why you're finding over 80–90% they're still in the small and micro SMEs. So those are the people that ideally most of the time they go into the innovations. So as a country, it means we've got this pool of people that we can push into entrepreneurship. Otherwise, these are the people that will just be going and dancing on political functions. And the politicians will be wanting to be giving them AIPs and whatever. Okay? So as a country, we have to be strategic. We've got a pool of people, and most of them, they're young, that we can push them into innovations, into entrepreneurship. Then maybe we have to move them into the formal businesses, because at the end of it, for me, I'll give you examples the way we've really struggled, but then I don't complain much, but you have these extra amounts that MRA keep on raising, because in terms of them, some of them collecting monies, there are very few companies that can pay. So for us to move forward, we can't do without innovations, without entrepreneurs as a country. That's one side that we should look at. But then the other challenges that actually you asked on behalf of, maybe I should say already, because you said someone should have asked this, in terms of the actual funding, we're having problems as a country in terms of the entrepreneurs. Because you guys might be lucky that UNDP maybe jumped in some of these things, but if you're out there, it's a dog-eat-dog situation. You survive or you perish. Now, you decide to go to the bank. I've had people that will come to me and say, where did you get the money to start? You say you came from a poor family, you just came here in town and whatever. Where did you get the monies? For me, I always push for what we call the knowledge economy. Most of the times, I think we're fighting to say, can we go borrow money in the bank and do ABC? I think it's tackled everywhere, where you said most of the time that you should be going for money is not the time where you just have got an idea. For me, actually, I'll tell you today, I've never taken a loan from the bank to run anything at my company. Even that project that I have in Irongwe, we finish without a loan from the bank. Because we'll push for the bigger ideas, and those bigger ideas will give you a lot of money. So for us to move forward as a country, I think what we should be looking at is the knowledge economy. Entrepreneurship, what knowledges do we have? Can we sit down? Do you know, you guys, that we're sitting here, in the US it might be 8 a.m. So assume you decide to come off a call center and relate to them, collaborate with them, and say my call center will be running during this time, which is the time you guys you're sitting here. So you having that call center, you collaborate with them, someone will be saying our call center is 24/7 because you're working in different environments, different continents. There are just so many things that we can do based on the knowledge economy. So maybe as a starter, I can stop there. But for me, there are so many things that we can do. It's again unfortunate that I think in Malawi, we're trying to be, what I can say, reactive in most of the stuff. I've sat in so many other meetings, even if we throw it out there, to government, to opposition, to whatever. We've seen how the US is operating now, okay? There are so many directives that are coming from, example, President Trump, which are affecting most of the countries all over the globe. Our friends are sitting down. How do we engage? How do we do ABC? What have we done as a country? We've got the MCC program, which was $350 million to build the roads. We're hearing with Rosted. What are we doing? Can we be proactive? And those who help us build these other parts of the economy. But most of the times we sit, we cry, we pray, and say, in heaven, we'll get our rewards. Unfortunately, our friends are getting the rewards here.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much for that response, but also covering a number of areas, challenging us, but also relating to the story of Mr. Thomson, which I think is a story of many people that are in the room. So thank you so much for that, but also just toppling into the challenges that are in the space, but also what innovation can do. The knowledge economy is a big economy, but I think in different countries, specifically maybe in Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, we don't look at it as what brings money on the table. We want the manual work. We wanted to do this. We want to be employed, but we can't create that and put it in the marketplace as value. So that's a good one to as a take-home message as well. I want you to react on the same in terms of you as a firm, as a company, built in Malawi, and then thinking about what entrepreneurship and innovation can do to support the development of the country, specifically Malawi. What do you think are the areas?
You see, I feel bad sometimes when I see all these petty problems that even our country struggle with. We do not embrace our own. This is one of the bigger problems. Entrepreneurs, innovators, they have the solution, and solutions are locally here. But we have a tendency, which I call is being uncivilized, to think it's only better when it comes from outside. People have a tendency of thinking that if this is being done by Sky or Sparc, it means Malawi, there may be. But equally, you find the same people that are going to get very substandard things out there being in trouble with it, and the cycle repeats itself over time. Other countries, they embrace their own, they embrace technologies. If you see most of the technologies in Kenya, Paisa, whatever money and thing, they are done by the locals, right? Because it's sustainable. It means growth. You are evolving the economy in. But this country, we externalize every dollar. We externalize everything because we want something outside. So my immediate reaction to that question is we should stop. Have the appetite of getting anything from outside immediately. And start, because it's our own people. It's the service that they're offering. That's how they can grow. Most of the developed countries, like America, China, they protect their own. I'll tell you many stories that Tesla has goofed, but they'll back them all the way. You get it? Because it's their own. So, to me, I believe this country has to invest in industrialization. We should do processing and start producing our own things here. And this country receives a lot of money, which I don't know where it goes. Because I think if the guys start engaging entrepreneurs who bang their head to think creatively, because it's a little bit that entrepreneurs are being involved. Congratulations to Wesley, is now chairman of what do you call it? What? Chambers of Commerce. I've seen now other things being taken place there. So entrepreneurs should be involved because we live in an era of creativity. There's so many changes. We have to move from traditional way of doing things and embrace innovation. We should operate like a startup nation where it believes in its own people, young people getting involved to get things done. The sooner we do that, the sooner this country is going to change.
Amazing. We should operate as a startup nation. That's a good idea, right? So we have a CTO somewhere and so many things. No, great reflections. There is one more question, then we'll get reactions from the group, and then we'll be going to close. I think you can start with this one, and I'll end with him for a specific reason, because I was somewhere where I saw him getting angry with something like this. But in exploring attributes of building from ground up, what does Malawi need, whether in infrastructure, policy, education, or collaboration, to cultivate a thriving ecosystem for innovators and entrepreneurs? Because these people here, the entrepreneurs, innovators here, they are looking forward to this. This space is new, but it's providing them what they need. But how many of these spaces are there? It's a question of what should be done. So over to you.
I believe the first thing should be policy. I don't know whether it was Jack Ma or someone said, if you give a farmer, there's a quote, something to do with, if you give people everything, but if they don't know what to do with it, they'll end up being nothing. It starts with policy. Why policy? I think we should have a deliberate policy for growth, to say we are tired, we want things to move forward. And that policy is from the whole, from the budgetary point of view, from the entire system. They need an overhaul to accommodate policy, which I think the Vision 2063 has accommodated, but it hasn't been implemented. It's not being implemented effectively. So by having deliberate policies to say we want institutions, let's say like M&A, ESCOM, or those services and other things that they get from outside, because they're spending billions, they should now investing as a sub-component of what they do here, right? So we should put more emphasis on industries, because industries are the ones that are going to grow economy of Malawi, starting from agriculture perspective, all the way to our technological solutions, all those things. It's high time we should start thinking of doing them here. So to me, I would say infrastructure comes after the policy has been put in place. So after then, we should talk about infrastructure that will enforce whatever the policy has put in place to make sure that whatever we envision is now being embraced on the public. So, and then that comes in with a mindset change, right? There should be a shift, because youngsters from school right now, whatever they think is, I should get a good job, a better salary, and live a comfortable life, right? But there should be a shift in that mindset as well, right? Our policies should be able to channel other people to be free thinkers, right? So in Tel Aviv, there's what we call it Israel Institute of Innovation. Other people, they just dedicated to think for the country, right? There are other planners that are just assigned to think for the country, coming up with solution innovation, and then they deploy it to military, and then they deploy it to agriculture. And then, so we need to have similar kind of that. We should think of doing our own things here and empowering entrepreneurs. I'll tell you, a society, as I wind up, a society that embrace or believe in their entrepreneurs grow. Because entrepreneurs create jobs, entrepreneurs create growth. You don't know how many people entrepreneurs hire and how many dependents those people have. So if we embrace entrepreneurs, give them the platform to thrive, avoid this dealing of externalizing work, and make them accountable, because entrepreneurs also need to deliver. It's not just because you're getting money, but you need to deliver also. You get it? So if we start believing our own and all put these things in place, I believe we can now start to take a right direction. Yep.
Amazing. And I wanted to thank you so much for that reflection. I think the policy has to be looked into. Issues of infrastructure. We need to have more of these spaces so that entrepreneurs can be challenged, but also inspired and use them, but also opportunities for them to connect, which is great. And you've spoken about tax, that we need more entrepreneurs. Once a country invests in the entrepreneurs, they will see a growth in tax retains that will come through to MRI in the context of Malawi. And I wanted to end with him with this question because he has been an advocate, and I think he started here talking about why we need to expand the base of collection, specifically when it comes to tax and other things. That because the industries are not growing, there's a challenge of it's the same people that are paying the tax, which of course supports. But the road to entrepreneurship breaks that bondage for specific companies just to be the victims when it comes to tax collection. So I wanted you to provide a solution today, because every time I go to sessions, I find you ranting on why taxes is a bit of an issue in the country. But I want you to start thinking about what do we need? What should we fix? And for this generation that is coming in, what should we fix now that when they're coming into the space or they're already practicing in the space, they should find an environment that is conducive for their innovations?
Like I said, Malawi is one of the poorest, so most of the things are broken. So if I'm to mention what we should fix, we'll talk to you tomorrow. But I can just take some of the specifics. So let's look at the journey of the entrepreneur, right? You've come up with your idea. You're starting to come up with a prototype. Then at that point, for example, there's some that would decide, let me go and get some funding. We don't have venture capitalists in Malawi. So most of the people, they end up going to the bank. As of now, the bank loans, they around 35%. Why is it that the banks are charging 35%? And they are controlled and regulated by the central bank. So meaning government knows and they protect them. And whatever they're charging, it seems coming from government. If you look at the banks that are making billions, you ask them exactly where are they getting those monies. So we're just doing a bit of analysis, right? There you've got a bank, it's posted, say 100 billion. Where are they getting those monies from? Most of them, you'll find that is them lending those monies to government, treasury bonds. I think as of now, the should be World Bank, my economic monitor, says about 77% of the loans the government, banks give to government. Because every loan behind the government, there are people that are being punished and every day, so you know at some point they'll pay back at whatever interest. But if you go with that one to the entrepreneur, you might lose it. There's a bit of higher risk. But then you ask if the bank made 100 billion. As of now, most of them are making from government and from Forex. This is something that we know at the industry. So here you've got a bank that has got 100 billion. Most of them, they don't even have offices. Where are they investing those monies? They just say, no, we multiply money. But the economy, how is the economy maybe getting advantage from that? It's almost nothing. Most of the times, the economy will get advantage from entrepreneurs. So maybe as a start, government, we're supposed to come, like he said, the policies. What if we came with a policy and say there should be a ratio of how much the bank can rent to the government? So for example, if you rent up to 50%, the other amount should be forced for you to rent that to private sector. So definitely the bank will be able to force to give you money at a bit cheaper rate. But as of now, they don't care because they're still making monies from there. So the policy is number one. Let's also look at another policy. I think we saw something that came from RBM recently, where they're saying they're not allowing us to buy air tickets, even with our dollars. So I make my own dollars. I want to go and buy an air ticket. I want to send my engineers. Like I said, I've got 6 engineers in Rwanda now. You're telling me I cannot use my own dollars. These are my own dollars that I went out, worked for them. They're in my account. Do you expect me tomorrow to bring those dollars here? I've got offices in Zambia, in Rwanda, in whatever. And at the end of it, we're complaining that we don't have Forex. Government should stop behaving as if our monies are their monies. So we've got policies that are pushing us down. So let's go again into the entrepreneurship. We've had these guys, someone created a radio. The other one created whatever phone that he said there's no SIM card, you can make a call, which I don't know. I'm an engineer, so I don't know how that works. But the guy claims I've done this, right? The best, what would the best that we're supposed to do at the country? We call them, we study it, we patent it, we make a business out of it. But what do? We arrest them. So already, however we're running our policies, they're not making sense. Then, so that's the side of the policies. You've got the side of the actual implementation of the policies. I can mention so many policies that we have. These are the policies that we've discussed and discussed. Actually, one of them, even when it comes on the taxes. So assuming I'm in IT, I've worked at some point I was the president of the Vice Association, and I've walked through this path, so I see all the problems that are there. If you wake up today, you decide to have an ICT company that does software, the knowledge economy, right? You're creating your softwares. If you're bidding and you win that deal for me, you know what will happen? I will deduct 20% of holding tax. That amount goes to MRI. There'll be VAT on top. So the moment you start calculating, you're already at 50-something percent, because even your employees, there is also pay. You're already over 60%. But because Sparc has operated for more than 2 years, who apply for withholding tax exemption, then for me, they will not deduct the 20%. So we're killing the entrepreneurs, the young innovators, and leaving the bigger ones. These are our policies, unfortunately, which we agreed as a country that we'll be running with. Okay? So let's go on the enforcement. We've got some policies, very good policies. Some of them, they came, I think, once the new government came in, the current government, then they were new. There are those of 60% indigenous Malawian, which of course in other angles have argued to say, can you define who is the indigenous Malawian? What if this company has got one person that has got one share and is a Malawian and the other guy is not? Did we define it? So we've got that policy, right? Is it being enforced? No. So we've got policies that are good on paper, but they're not being enforced. We've got other policies. For example, my building in Irongwe. When we designing, we designed that we wanted to say the most green building in Malawi. So we've got a building that we wanted to run primarily on solar, from solar back up ESCOM, then back up generator and all that. But now we realize the space is small for us to generate that power from solar. Then I had some discussion with some other guys in government and all that. And we said, can we have a solar farm and transmit? They said, no. Only ESCOM is allowed to transmit. That's the policy. So with these policies, we've got the enforcement, which is a problem. There are just so many things that are going wrong. So for me, I think we need to sit down. There are some things that we say they are low-hanging fruits. We've got the ATM strategy now, which is agriculture, tourism, mining. Now they've added manufacturing, which some of us have been pushing to say, can you add an S, which is services, which people don't understand because they want to see it and say, if I'm selling a chair, then there should be a chair here. But I was here, I learned a bit of material science and all that. There is so many other things that you can do and sell on top of this. So you find that you've got, for me, I relate Malawi and Sparc. My company, I say the company, with actually only the knowledge, went into the services, we're exporting the services. Actually, I've seen now presentation in some of the forums where people are quoting us now. Malawi is exporting the services. Now we've got Malawi that doesn't have money. So, but for us, what are we saying? We be manufacturing, we're going to mining, we're going to all those, and those mining, maybe we'll get some companies from Australia. They are listed in Australia and not listed in Malawi, which we fought as the Chamber of Commerce. So can we have some shares listed here? There are a bit of some movements, but for me, we need to look into this, the knowledge economy, because we don't have money to invest. We don't have money to start at the level where our friends are starting. If you remember where we're coming from, most of the times people were saying, well, Guracha Japan is useless. Later on, Japan became the standard. And people were saying, no, China is useless. Now, almost everyone, even the US, they will just package it. China is manufacturing. The knowledge economy, that's the side that should be going. And for MRA to correct more, we need to allow these entrepreneurs. We cannot just be killing them off and say more taxes. Then, because Sparc is already there, let's give them more taxes, we know we'll correct, but these guys, we don't trust them. And my argument has been, maybe because we didn't have an ID card before, so people would say, you might, at the end of the year, you might run away and will not know where you're going. Now got national ID. The government is more powerful now. The country just broke me, and all my accounts will never work. So we need to sit down and really think and encourage entrepreneurship. That's how MRA can generate more money. That's how we can start going forward. And with the entrepreneurship, you look at it, where we're coming from, that was wisely around. Now I've got a lot of people that I've employed. Malawi around we're over 300. So this is from one person. The knowledge economy, we've created 300. And we're saying what? The policies of the government, is it previous, whatever they're arguing about, they said what? 1 million jobs, right? So if Sparc alone is doing 300 at once, these are permanent ones. Don't you think if you can have 5 of those, we should be reaching those levels, which we're failing now? Anyway, I went there.
Yes. Thank you so much, colleagues. This is powerful. I want to get reactions, at least 2, maximum of 3, to wind up this fireside chat so that we can be closing the session today. So, anyone else want to? Okay, I hope you're not ranting. Not you. You have contributed. I need someone who's fresh. Yes.
So my name is Lusungu Kondwe. I'm not a student, I'm an alumni. Just wanted to comment on what you have said. And this goes to the management of UniPod also. I feel like the audience we underestimated the vocalism of the people who are going to share the ideas. Because I feel like these ideas are supposed to go beyond just this room, but even to the policy makers. So I don't know what we can put in place so that we can spread the message of innovation into the other sectors, not just to the students and those people who are on Facebook. So yeah, that was my comment.
I'm Timothy Miamba. I'm a 4th-year student doing IT. I did have one question that was more directed towards Dr. Wisely, considering Sparc has built systems. My question was on commercializing those systems. When we're building innovations that we expect to be self-sustaining, are we supposed to target enterprise, considering that when we build for consumers, most of the consumers in our country are not digitally literate, and if the thing costs money, considering the low standard of living that we do have here, most people wouldn't actually be willing to pay for those solutions. So I just wanted your view on that one point.
Okay, so when I created Sparc, my target was to be the best enterprise ICT support provider in Africa. So my target has been on enterprise, and not for Malawi. I remember when I was doing the building in Irongwe, the contractor even asked me, oh, this building for what? Malawi. Okay, so for me, if I'm being honest, I think the easier one, or the best one, not easier one, the best one would be you develop for the enterprise. So you collaborate with the enterprises. Imagine you've created an app that you sell to NBS or TNM, and then they go and sell to their customers. That's the best way of sustaining yourself. But then we're having a problem in Marawi whereby most of the enterprise were not trusting the locals that they can do. So you find that you can go there with your best solution. Either they will steal your idea. I know a number of them, actually some of them, that even my employees, where the ideas were stolen. But then you've got also, you can come off your solution, then someone from Kenya will come. And there they've been promoted, the way Schizzo said, they've been promoted already. So when they're asked about their references, they've got references. And some of us, they fake the references. But because we trust foreigners much than the locals, we're having a bit of a problem. So for me, what you talk about, the mindset change has to be looked at. And we noticed the same when I was the president of Vice Association, because I'd run my company already for some time. So that's the time I created the Innovation Awards. We have the Innovation Jam that now is being sponsored by National Bank for ICT Association of Malawi. Most of us, the issue is to create, maybe to have that rapport with the industry captains. So if you go to, for example, you create something and go to the Innovation Awards, you'll be able to pitch there to the directors around. Then some of them have been able to start companies and be able to sell to these enterprises. Otherwise, if you want to sell to what we call end users, that's end user computing and all that, it's a bit of a problem. Because Malawi, our buying power is a bit of a problem. Unless you just give them a channel where you've got the end user, like maybe the e-commerce and all those, maybe you'll be able to do where you're in the middle of the integrations between the end user and an enterprise. But for me, start with the enterprises. And maybe just to add on the same, I would also just want to advise you guys, if I was you, and I want to be an entrepreneur, I end up getting a job so that I should be known. The best job, some of you will be offered a job with a smaller companies, and some Sparc comes and offers you a job when you say, yeah, I'm going to Sparc. It depends on what you want in life. Maybe Sparc operates differently, but some of these bigger companies, you will likely be a mail forwarders. I've seen people that were at the university, they're mail forwarders. At the end of 5 years, they want to start their own company, but they've rented nothing. If you want to start your own company, the best one to start is these companies, the smaller ones. Because today, I will tell you to create a code. Tomorrow, I don't have an accountant. I'll say, go to the bank and deposit the check. The other day, do this. By the end of it, you're learning the whole company, how it's running.
Thank you so much. One last question before I let you check your assets from online. It's coming from V2 about medical engineering student, I assume, or engineer who completed, but says apart from targeting the transportation, are you also into any other sector like health sector to bring in some innovations? That's for Mr. Thomson. I was calling you doctor. Is that a prophecy? Are you?
Maybe it's a prophecy. All right. So I think people get to know more about us after the launch of e-mobility. But in reality, what is big for us is our energy solutions. So we have deployed a lot of solutions in the health space, especially managing laboratory facilities in terms of energy storage solution. You know, health facilities is about saving lives. So there are places where they don't need power interruptions and they need special energy solutions that we have deployed. And most interestingly, we are launching a new product. We call it Oral Air. I think the health system is aware for it. So during COVID-19, COVID changed the way the world operates. So I had a thought around how the disease spread, especially airborne diseases, and how COVID was managed in advanced countries. So one of the solution overhand that has demonstrated ability to counter COVID in a room, neutralizing it to 0%, was Oral Air, which was developed in USA by GUI colleagues. So it passed a lot of tests during Innovation Week for Kuhes, is it no? There was Innovation Week shortly for, what do we call it, Liver Wellcome Trust. So I had an opportunity to show the scientists about this oral air product. So it kills bacteria in a room. If we install it here, if there are bacteria in here, it's solar-powered device. So if we install it in the room like this one, within an hour, if there are bacteria, allergens, and the like, it will be able to neutralize them. And that's how Israel encountered COVID real quick. So it was through that solution. So I was looking at our hospitals in terms of, indoor rooms, issues of you are at the hospital to be treated, but you are returning back with another disease because our system is not very secure. So it's something on the offering, which we are going to launch towards next year. Various health institutions are looking into this product so that they can put their comments. So that's something we'll significantly do to help our health facilities in Malawi. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. So thank you both Mr. Thomson and Dr. Phiri for your time and sharing your stories and the vision for Malawi's future. What we have heard today is a testament of the powerful resilience, specifically when you shared your story. I think Dr. Phiri's story is widely available. We can also access it to hear how he has moved across all the challenges and be here. But yeah, it shows resilience, creativity, but also determination. This is exactly what the UniPod talk series, UniPod Innovation talk series is all about, which is bringing real stories and actionable insights to inspire Malawi's next generation of innovators. So I'll allow you to take your sets. So we have gone past the time that we're supposed to close this. We're supposed to be closing at around 4:30, but you can agree with me that for an inaugural event, you expect that things can go beyond time, and because of the conversation, when you were picking the guests, I don't know what you were thinking, but all of them have inspiring stories. So you have to balance to make sure that you get the most out of everyone. But thank you so much for being here. And to close us with some remarks, we invite Mr. Francis Massey. And I think later on after that, we'll do a group photo and there will be networking and refreshments afterwards. There's a closing prayer somewhere at the very end, which I think after him, we'll do that. And then, of course, there are also the raffle draws that has to be done. So after the closing remarks, then we can do raffle draw, and then, of course, go for the photo group and then networking.
I think he forgot that there's also some snacks, so I hope you stay. There's plenty of food there, so let's wait and enjoy the food together. But I hope we have all been inspired today, right? Yeah, and I believe and hope that moving forward, I think we'll change the way we handle things. Just to close some concept that I heard from the talk today, most of us, when we're in college, we're always thinking about, and we dream for working for a big company. I want to work with NASA. Maybe I want to work with Sparc Industry Limited. I want to work with Sky Energy. Such kind of big businesses. And we dream to be at such kind of a place. Few people in the college will think of maybe starting up their own businesses. And with the way Malawi is now, you'll not find many jobs sometimes. You apply for a job, they don't pick you. You are a technical person, and you just stay home without maybe trying to figure out, what else can I do? If I don't get a job, what else can I do maybe to start of my own? Create jobs for other people. I think that's what we should start to think about. I've also been challenged. On a sudden note, of course, we've also been told that not to beg, not to beg. But of course, me and my colleagues here in the UniPod, we're hoping to beg as well. So you can see today we have 3 logos. So I was imagining when I was sitting there, what if there was Sky Energy here as well? And maybe also Sparc there. And you know what that means, right? Yeah, so that moving forward with the next talk series, I'm hoping to see those logos there as well. And I believe my begging is strategic. It's not the usual, yeah. So let's take this opportunity. As we're having the coffee, we could also take a chance to chat with our guests. It's usually difficult to get hold of them, you know, but with this opportunity, Nima also, right? So let's utilize it to the fullest, chat with them, they can mentor us in some things and so on, yeah. Reaching that far, I think I'll give it over to Hope for the raffle draw. Yes. Let's see who is the lucky one, eh? All right, over to MUBAS.
I'm not sure, Tech Team, are you facilitating this one? Because I'm not sure how you're doing it. But everyone is here, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you. So what will happen here is that everyone who registered, they've got their names entered here. So what we'll do is we just spin it, and if you're lucky, it's going to stop on your name. So we are giving out 5 t-shirts, so we spin it 5 times. It's very fast. And then we are also giving out 5 notepads as well. Thank you. So Upire, you can spin it now. Okay, let's see who wins. Christopher, are you around? Okay, so that's for a golf shirt. Let me spin again. Hey. Okay. So we have Kumbukani. Are you around? I mean, Grace. Do we have a Wanango in here? No? Okay, cool. I've lost count. What number are we on? 4? Okay, so the last one for the golf shit. Yeah? Yeah, let's roll it again, I think, and then you remove him. You need to remove. Yeah. Are we done? I mean. Okay, last one for the golf shit. Who is it going to be? Timothy. Okay, cool. We are done with the golf shirts and t-shirts, and then let's go to the notepads. UniPod branded notepads. So we have bright. That's for the notepad. Maybe this one will be for Dr. Takama, who knows? Perez Taka. Yeah, he's not around. You spin it again. Yanko. Okay. Linga. And then we have the last one, last spin for the UniPod notepad. Oh. Yeah, that's not me. Okay, thank you. So after everything, then you find me and then I'll be able to give you everything. Sure.
That was exciting, right? Yeah, those lucky ones are lucky. I think let's close with a prayer and then immediately we'll go for a photo and then we come back for refreshments and then, yeah, connecting with our guests. So anyone else who's fired up to close with a prayer? Fired up, so anointed. Escom chair. Okay, yes.
Let's bow down our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for this talk series. We thank you for all the insightful and motivating talks and words we've heard today. We ask you to help us take them into consideration and help us to become better people. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen.
Thank you so much. I think I'll be guided on where we will do the photo. It's here? Okay. Then maybe help me with the setup here.